Hi, welcome to PMO America. Today we're going to talk about very big or very complex projects. And this video is mostly for small or mid-sized businesses that may not be used to doing this. I was just talking to somebody about a warehouse in Cincinnati. They were implementing a warehouse execution system. They were about $60, $70 million a year. This was a big project for them. And just kind of asking for advice. How do you get started on this? And I went back to the first time I ever did one of these data center moves. This is probably 15 years ago or so, and it was a large school district. And after this one, I ended up doing four more of these. Two of them, again, very large school districts, but they just didn't have the human resource infrastructure to manage this type of a project. So I was working with a guy. He was a CIO at the time. I think it was a Fortune 500 company. And as a favor, he was helping out on this project, and he was doing the WAN connectivity. And so over the summer, we were doing some things. Near the end of the summer, they said, hey, we need to start on the project plan for this. We think the project plan alone, we would like to have this finished by April of next year and roll the project out June, July, and August. And there's a lot going on here. It was roughly a $10 million project, including the building, which was probably $2 million of it where the data center went. The rest of it was new servers, new switch router infrastructure. So definitely a huge project. And this guy that was the CIO that was working on it called me, and he said, hey, you want to get together tomorrow morning about 8 o'clock and we'll do this project plan. And then afterwards we can go to lunch at this particular restaurant downtown they liked. Okay, but I don't know how he thought we were going to do this in 4 hours, but we did it. And what we did is he said the way you want to do these is have two project plans. And the first project plan you should start with on this is just what he called big block project planning. I've done this a lot since then. Particularly in data center moves with multiple campus, multiple locations. I was involved in one once for a paper company, and they had, I think, 3 locations in the United States and then one in Germany. So this is an international data move, a lot going on. We did the same thing. It works very well. So by starting with the big blocks, what you have to do is you sit down in a project meeting. You don't want 5 or 6 people on this. Do it yourself if possible, but probably 2 people. 2 project managers or 1 project manager and 1 subject matter expert. And you start with, okay, what is the essence of what we're doing in this data move? And it's the same if it's a big software development project or a business process change that affects the whole organization. But in the data center ones, what is the gist of this? Well, we're going to move. There were 4 large campuses, I believe, and 2 or 3 other buildings. So each had their own on-premise work. So you say, okay, the first thing we're going to do is not move everything, is make sure everything's connected. So that's work that needs to be done. And if you know project management, you see where I'm going with this. You're starting just a very, very high-level work breakdown structure. And at that level, it's just, okay, they're all these 6 buildings are connected now to this one new building. And then a couple questions come up. He says, we don't want to get in a lot of detail here, but these 3 have fiber, so they're going to be connected. And these 2 maybe have something else. And this one is in a rural area, so we're going to bundle 4 T1s together. That's just how we used to connect back in the day, remote buildings. And that's about it. Okay, so now we have the 4 buildings connected. So then what you want to do is, okay, what's the most complex piece of this for this one location? So what's the most important server or the server with the most critical data on it? So we picked that out and he said, okay, let's say we move this. So then he said, okay, now how do we verify that this has been done? Definition of done. You build some testing criteria and a quality plan. And then I thought this was brilliant, and I've done this ever since. What's the easiest? And the reason we did that in this particular case, but it's always good to do this, is okay, we each of these 4 buildings, they operate over the summer because they did some night school or something, adult education training, something like that. And said, okay, is that the same here, here, and here? Yes, it is. Okay, so that may be something where we're going to condense servers. So let's make a block, move these 4, and then put them in one area and condense them into one server. In this particular project, all the servers were being replaced too. There was, in the SQL servers, I remember there being failovers. It was mirrored servers back then, I think, a couple little clusters. They also had Microsoft Exchange email servers at each location. That was able to be condensed. But doing this allows you to take this massive big project and get it down to a really simple set of these are the big pieces of this project. Software development, if you're doing a big, let's say a big e-commerce site, I've done that as well. We know we need people to be able to register. We know we need people, vendors, whatever, to be able to add their projects, or the customer to add their products. We know they need to be able to check out their products, and they want to track and ship it. So the first project plan starts off not even really, the scope is just we're doing a project to move data or servers. We're doing a project to create an e-commerce site. It's very high level. Then you break down that work at a very high level. And then once you do that, and that took us probably an hour and a half just to get, we didn't have every T crossed and I dotted. We had a good picture of what was going on. And then you could spend another half, we spent, I think about another half hour. Said, okay, when we do all this, we've got, these are the big blocks we need to use. The reason it went so fast is, okay, this block over here at this campus is going to be the same as this. So is there anything drastically different? No. Okay, just duplicate that. We know the effort has to be duplicated. So if this was going to take 400 man hours to do, this is probably going to take 400 man hours to do. So we're starting to build some estimation as well. And we've started to build the quality plan. And then once we had kind of all that together, he said, okay, now let's build our risk register. And I thought, wow, we're already into that. And so we did. So what's the risk here? Well, first risk is obviously it won't connect. Second risk is it's going to be too slow. And we went through those. Where are those duplicated throughout the rest of the project? So this is, again, a really cool way to do this, because in 4 hours, we went to lunch and everything. We were buttoned up and ready to go. We had a very high level project plan that had now a much better scope statement, so we could determine what's out of scope here, a very high level work breakdown structure, so we can start breaking that down even more into specific tasks. We had a risk register, and we had a very rough but decent quality plan to define when this particular module had been successful. So then what happens, okay, now you're going to have to get into a lot more detail, and you're going to have to prioritize this risk. But because we had this good framework together, we expected to start in the middle of September, and the business manager and the IT department said, we want this done by April. That's a bit of a time crunch. We had it largely done by Thanksgiving, September, October, and about half of November. It was because we had this big project broken down into a small project plan. And again, people think, well, you had to do 2 of them. We learned a ton. This is for small companies, 5-10 million a year, up to mid-size, maybe 600-800 million a year. If you've ever worked at a very big company, which I've worked at a couple of Fortune 100 companies, this is how they do it. But they'll do that first, and then they'll break it and send it out. Okay, there's multiple project managers because they're doing $100 million projects. There might be 20 high-level project managers, but they still generally, I've seen, do this the same way. So you're just taking what they know works and putting it on a little smaller scale. But if you're a $50-60 million company, a $2 million project is a huge project. But this also works for very complex projects. That you could have a project that is $400,000 or $500,000, 200,000 or less, but it affects 5 or 6 different processes or departments within your organization, so it gets very complex. The same rules and the same methods apply. Do 2 project plans, one very, very high level project plan, and then build your real project plan off of that. And what you'll find is you can go through the standard processes of, again, your risk register. You've already done your business analysis case. You've probably done some requirements elicitation, but you can do your risk register. You can do your resource allocation. You can even start to get your estimates built up. So when you get to your real project plan, all you're really doing is refining there. So this is something that, again, after we did it this way, it was so much faster to do the real project plan, and the Gantt charts and everything just flowed so much quicker because we had this starting point. It was a great idea. I've done it on lots of projects since then, and it really works well. And one thing we're going to do, we do a lot of consulting for projects in risk state or emergency state. And you can do the same thing there. Is if you're in the middle of a project and nothing's going well, you're over budget, you're behind schedule, this works there as well too. Redo your entire project plan just in a small project that adheres to the scope, and you'll uncover things that were the real problem is, things that you missed. It's always missed on the requirements or the estimation when they go bad, but it's a really good way to get started. It saves you a ton of time, and the greatest benefit of this is it allows you to focus on what you don't know. It makes that much more visual to everybody to see, and you end up with a much better project plan doing it this anyway. Doing this 2 projects, small project plan, the real project plan. Hope you enjoyed this. This was just a quick video I wanted to do because I ran into this again just recently when somebody had a really big complex project. Do 2 entirely different project plans. And then your first one is kind of your template or your guideline to do the bigger project plan. Thanks for watching it all. And as always, if you need help, if you need a contract to hire, project manager, scrum master, project consulting, we do project plan creation. That's where this is going to fall under. We also do contract to hire, but we do a lot differently than any IT staffing company does. So check us out at pmoamerica.com. Thanks for watching.